Hey everybody, ChristopherOdd here. I thought I would take some time to look at the first 15 minutes of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. IGN has their hands on a preview build, it looks like, and they are playing on the PC using the Xbox One gamepad. This was confirmed by an IGN employee on Twitter. So some of the compression stuff that you'll see on here is in part due to how they recorded it, and also in part due to YouTube compression. So just keep that in mind. That is not the purpose of this video. What I'd like to do is take some time to go through it, share my thoughts on what we see, point out some of the details, and also highlight any of the cool story references that we run into. So I will be pausing the video as we go to describe and talk about a few things here and there, and hopefully you enjoy. So this guy here, this is Vesemir. He's one of the oldest Witchers, kind of a father figure in some ways. He survived the attack on Kaer Morhen a long time ago, and one of the first guys actually that we run into in the original Witcher.
So, time to hit the road?
Wait. Show me the letter from Yennefer. Might have overlooked some hint in there.
One thing I'll point out is that it's going to be very difficult for people to just jump right into The Witcher 3. I highly suggest, if you haven't read the books, or if you haven't played the first two games, that you go and do that, or watch them, or find summaries, whatever the case may be, because even within this first couple of minutes, you're going to see a lot of references. Yennefer is an example. She's not really brought up too much in the previous games, but she's a huge part of the books. For those that don't know, Yennefer is kind of bound to Geralt. It was part of the Last Wish book, and he had wished from a djinn to bind her to him, and they've been together ever since, but their relationship is not quite how we would say normal.
Didn't overlook anything. We were meant to meet in Willoughby. That's what she wrote. Meanwhile, one army or another burned the village to the ground. All we can do is follow her trail, so...
Stop talking for a minute and give me the letter. Oh, how about that? It does smell of lilac and gooseberries.
And that's actually I'm really glad that they talk about lilac and gooseberries, like, way up front, because it's referenced so often in the books. Like, all of the time. Anytime they're discussing Yennefer, it's the smell of lilac and gooseberries, and I was hoping that they would bring that up in The Witcher 3, and right in the first 15 minutes they've done it. That's really cool.
You were gonna read it, not sniff it.
We must meet soon. Willoughby near Vesemir. Nothing else to guide us there. What's this postscript? I still have the unicorn?
That's another pretty funny reference, actually. You'll see here that there's two options to choose from, and it's that's private or it's a stuffed unicorn. We used it as a bed once. I'm pretty sure Geralt says that's private.
That's private. Very private.
But in the books, they talk about in detail some of the fun they used to have with this stuffed unicorn and using it as a bed, not for sleeping, for other activities, let's say.
Look, how far behind Yennefer are we?
2 or 3 days. Trail's fresh. But it looks like it leads towards the main road. Could be muddled there.
So the hunt for Yennefer definitely continues, but it seems like we're on the trail somehow.
Hear that?
I hear it. I smell it. Ghouls.
And here's our first look at combat. So a couple of things to point out. If you just look at the UI, you'll notice in the top right we've got a map. It looks like those circles on the map are different enemy types that are coming towards us. Obviously in the bottom right we have some of our controls, and that's evidence that we're using the Xbox One gamepad here. We also have some quick supplies in the bottom left, like 5 bread, 2 water. I imagine that those could be used for some quick healing, although that's just a guess. It looks like our active sign is in the top left under the medallion. We've got our health as well, and we've also got weather in the top right. Combat looks very similar to The Witcher 2, although a little bit more fluid, I would say. So you'll notice in the top left that we are gaining some experience. That little white bar is our experience bar. Very similar to The Witcher 2 as well.
Did he know they eat the living as well?
And if you keep an eye on the minimap in the top right, you'll notice that little, looks like leaves are popping up. I imagine those are harvestable ingredients that you could go and pick without having to use your Witcher's Medallion all the time.
War's not exactly going our way.
We have a side.
The Northern Realms.
Radovid's realms, don't you mean? Temeria and Edirn are no more.
Radovid's pledged to restore the old borders as soon as he...
That's a cool little touch there. If you notice, we've got these bodies hanging on the tree to the right, and I wonder, I'm not sure obviously because I'm not in control, but there's a sign that's posted on the tree there, and I would love to know if we could get off and read that to see why these bodies are hanging here.
Wins the war.
Believe that?
Gotta believe something. It's what keeps us going. We going? Help me!
Well, it seems we've come to our first scripted event here where somebody's in need of help. Looks like his horse was attacked by this griffin. So we've seen this a couple of times in trailers where this enemy will leave a trail of blood and we could probably follow it. Wow. That's pretty wild. Oh, Vesemir's hurt a little bit.
How's it going?
The detail in the armor is really well done.
Yeah. Come out.
I hope this guy's haircut's in the game for us. That'll be a must purchase.
Gods, that was close. I was sure I'd end up like my mare.
Provided you got lucky.
Your horse died quickly, but griffins like to toy with their prey. Eat it, alive, piece by piece.
You'd like a reward, I suppose.
So we've got two choices here again. You don't owe us a thing, or we could use a few crowns. Now, we're gonna say you don't owe us a thing, and he's gonna give us some information, but I have to wonder if we would have just asked him to cough up a few crowns, if he would give us that information or not. So I'm interested to see if all of these decisions actually have an impact.
You don't owe us anything. You were in need. We helped.
And they call witches heartless. Say they won't lift a finger without pay.
They also say mice are born of rotting straw. Back to the trail.
Like I said, leads to the main road and ends there, muddled.
You seek someone?
What's it to you?
Well, you see, there's an inn here in White Orchard. Sole one around. Gets its share of travelers. Perhaps you'll learn something there? Besides, the innkeep's my cousin. Tell her Bram sent you. She'll treat you like family.
Not a bad idea. Especially since that wound needs cleaning.
Ah, beast barely grazed me. But sure, could use a good rye. Nice and cool, you know, straight from a cellar.
Let's go.
So yeah, it would be interesting to see if, had we asked him for money, if he would direct us to this inn, or if we would just have to find it ourselves. Now, there is a marker up on the top right as well, and you can see there's a small little indicator that looks like a couple of footprints, and I'm thinking that's number of steps to that destination, which is a pretty interesting way to do things.
So, a griffin this close to the village? Strange.
My thoughts exactly. In a forest or the mountain, sure, but here? Near the main road.
Maybe it's the war. Corpses everywhere, the stench of blood, burnt flesh. Drives monsters crazy sometimes.
You have to say, like, just looking at the way the sun is setting over this lake here, this is like, this looks amazing. They've created a pretty cool and living world. If you look, there's people all over, we've got animals, the vegetation is flowing. It's pretty amazing.
Slow now. Whoa.
So wham bam, they knocked his head off. Aye, so it were. Except it was some drowner that had sapped on the key. Which had naught to do with it. What did the folk do?
So now we're going to get our first look at the world map here, and what's really interesting is, well, there's a lot of things that are interesting. So we have some waypoints that that we can either set or choose. We've got along the bottom, there's multiple pages that we can view, presumably going between inventory, world map, quests, and the like. It tells us our level in the top right, tells us our weight, tells us how many orans we have, and we're going to get a better look at some of the map stuff in the future here, but yeah, it's pretty detailed. Right now you can see he's looking for the notice board. Now I'm going to try to pause on each one of these notices so that we can actually read all of the different things that are going to be available, because the player goes through it pretty quickly here. So, Imperial Edict number 18 of 45. Let it hereby be known that by the order of His Imperial Majesty's High Command, all able-bodied men of White Orchard must present themselves at the village inn, equipped with a shovel, hoe, or pickaxe of their own provision. The fields near the village are littered with corpses, and given the warm spring we are currently experiencing, the High Command fears the rotting bodies might bring contagion to the village. Let this stand as proof to the residents of White Orchard that their new rulers care for their safety and shall defend them, not only from bandits, but also from disease, by introducing measures which have long been standard in the civilized world. Any man refusing to comply with this order will be flogged and put in the stocks. Signed, Captain Peter Sar Gwynliv, or Gwynlevy. Looking to borrow a plow. Hey lads, there any among you can send me a plow? Thing is, mine smacked up against a stone in my field so hard it bent half ways, and may a fiend take me if I know how to fix it or plow my field without it. Roget. Or Roget. Death to the invaders. Hark, fair northern folk, if you've a yearning for freedom, if you're ready to take up arms to defend your motherland, head to the woods. We grow stronger by the day and will soon show the Nilf vermin the Temerian people won't bear their yoke without a fight. If your heart bleeds blue and golden lilies, you'll sooner die for your country than live as a slave to foreigners. Let us swear by our fathers who fell to the beasts of Sodden, by the souls of the dead buried at Brenna, to arms. Contract, Devil by the Well. Good folk, I know there's a war on and every man's got trouble enough of his own, but perhaps there's one of you who could help a father in need. You all surely know the well in the ruined village and the devil that guards it with a jealous fury, and if you don't know, well, come ask and I'll tell you about it. Whoever drives that monster away from the well will get a fat purse of gold. Just don't tarry, for it's an urgent matter. Now, I don't know, I can't confirm, but this might be a reference to one of the stories in The Last Wish, and if it is, that would be pretty cool, but that's a total guess at this point. Brother missing. Bastion, my brother, went off to fight the Black Ones. I've reason to think he stood in the great battle nearby. He's not returned to this day. Like many others, you'll say, and you'll be in the right. But if he fell, and I know it's like he did, I'd give him up to the ground the least, like our fathers have done always. I'd bury him neath the barrow where our parents lie, not leave his corpse to be ate by the corpsers prowling the battleground. So I seek a man brave, able with a sword, and willing to venture out with me to find Bastion. I won't pay much, and I've not much to give, but I'm not stingy with gratitude, and sure to show it aplenty. Any man willing to help, look for a raised hut along the road to White Orchard, just near the bridge. I've made camp there, Dune Vildenvert. Nilfgaardian lessons. Hail Herzer, Iglor, Ardfain Asnar. That's very bad pronunciation. Don't understand what you just read? No wonder, it's in Nilfgaardian. And soon half the world will be speaking this mysterious tongue. So you'd best start learning it now, and yours truly can help you with that for a very modest fee. That actually seems really interesting. That would be very cool. So we're gonna grab all of these contracts and set a new waypoint. Looks like we now have an exclamation point on the map, so that's probably an indicator for one of the quests we just picked up. And it looks like when we get a new quest on the left-hand side, if we just click the right button, or presumably just trigger a button if you're playing with keyboard and mouse, then you can mark that quest as active right away. I actually really like that. I think that's smart. So now, presumably because they don't want to spoil anything major, they're not going to go to the inn and progress the story. We're going to go kind of adventuring. And what's interesting is we approach this directional post, and we then get the map, and we can fast travel to places. Now, I've heard that the developers have said in the past that fast traveling points are not unlocked at the beginning. So I imagine that they've kind of got this unlocked so that this preview build can kind of go and transport all over the place. But my understanding is that you have to access the places on foot or by horse first, and then you can fast travel to it. Unless that's changed, and it may have, but that's what I know to be true from quite a while ago. So you can also see on the map we've got a ton of these different fast travel points, any of these directional markers on the roads. So we've got Wosong Bridge, Ford, Crossroads, and Ransacked Village. We also have a whole bunch of question marks, and I imagine each of those could be either a separate quest or a separate location. That is yet to be seen, but certainly areas that we would want to go and explore. And with the horse, I don't think it would take too long to cover off a lot of them. So we've now fast traveled to the Crossroads, and we're going to go mark an undisclosed location and head up there. I also like the way that the weather is displayed a lot more than it was in The Witcher 2. It's very clear as to what's going on. Now, you'll notice, as soon as we whistled on the mini-map, we got this little tiny white icon of the horse, and very similar to how they did it in Dragon Age Inquisition, you can call your horse at any time, and he will come out from behind you and be available, which is, I think it's very smart, very well done. I love how he came out of the forest, so he didn't just appear behind us. I don't know if that's going to stay consistent throughout the whole game, but I think that little touch there is very, very well done. And if you pay very close attention, we're going to go in for a slow motion attack on the horse. That's amazingly well done. You'll notice that we have a horse's fear level. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but we might lose control of the horse, as I imagine would happen. Now, this player, I'm not sure if they're new to The Witcher, but I would recommend in that scenario that you quen up right away, get your defenses going, and not just run in and take on 3 or 4 of those at a time. So it's going to load the most recent save, which is going to take us back to the most recent point that we teleported to. So we're back here at the Crossroads. And instead of going back there, it looks like we're going to go off in a different location to another undiscovered location. Now, what I would have loved to have seen here is if you just scrolled up on the map, that previous unknown location, it would be great to see if it now has a name. But seeing as how we have the same number of undiscovered locations as we did in the past, doesn't look like that's the case. Because we did have to load the save to come back, so I would presume that it assumes we haven't gone there yet. And now we've entered a bandit camp. And this slow motion on the horse is really cool. I don't know if it happens every time you attack or maybe just the first one. No, it looks like it happens every time. Perhaps only if it's an instant kill, but... or if it does a certain amount of damage. You can see that combat is still going to be heavily focused on... oh, that's a nice kill. Combat is still going to be heavily focused on evasion and rolling. And there's nothing wrong with that. It keeps things mobile, keeps things exciting. But again, we've gone into like that Witcher sense, so... in the bottom right, you'll notice that we have sprint, jump, Witcher senses, and call your horse. And it looks like we triggered that one. So going into our inventory, you can see it looks like it's very well organized. We've got our weapons in the top right, all of our equipment actually. We've got our steel weapons, silver sword, chest armor, gloves, trousers, boots. We have a ranged weapon and bolts. We have some consumables, which I imagine give some instant health. Bombs, pockets, and then trophies, saddlebags, saddles, and horse blinders, so you can really customize your horse. In the bottom right as well, it lists your damage output and some of your class attributes. So you've got the armor, you've got your sign intensity, and one small thing that really appeals to me, and this is just a very small thing, but in The Witcher 2, you could find things that would augment your signs, but they were never augmented by a percentage. It was just a straight number. So you would find an item that gives signs +5. But here, in The Witcher 3, any items of things that I've seen in the past, previous coverage, it'll give you a sign increase of a percentage, which to me just makes a lot more sense. Currently, we're at 0% increase, and we have 2,500 out of 3,500 vitality remaining. So, we've got this Amateur's Armor Repair Kit. It's armorer's tools used for repairing armor, 15% of the item durability restored, which is interesting. It looks like we're going to be able to do some repairs on the road. So you'll notice in the bottom right, very quickly, we're at 4 bread and 2 water. We're going to go ahead and consume a bread, and you'll see a vitality regen in the top left going up to 5 seconds in total. This is some of the stuff that I'm looking forward to doing the most, just exploring and seeing what's out there. And it seems like with this really dynamic world, like, it's encouraging to be able to go and do that. For now, we're fighting some wolves. So we set down the Earden Trap, and it appears to work a little bit differently than in the past, where previously it would freeze the opponents in place, but it looks like this time it's either slowing them or the wolves have some type of resistance, because it's not certainly just holding them there.
Let's go.
And it looks like he can really fly on this horse. You can cover a lot of ground very quickly.
Slow now. Whoa.
Oh, and it looks like we can actually grasp onto ledges, which is just not a big deal, but it is a big deal because that's brand new to the Witcher world. And that's going to just allow for this world to give it a sense of height, give it a sense of scale that was previously
Come on, come closer.
not as strong. You'd be able to go up to a ledge and click an action to either climb or go down, but it looks like this is very dynamic, almost like an Assassin's Creed type of style. Now the human enemies, they look like they can block pretty significantly, very reminiscent of the Scoia'tael in The Witcher 2, and I like that. Very subtle here, you'll notice that I don't know if we parried or if it was an automatic thing that happened, but we just kicked the guy back a little bit and then attacked. Very subtle, but very cool. And some of these instant kills, like, wow, they look great. And that's everything. So nothing heavy on story spoilers or anything, but yeah, very cool. That got me very excited to get into the Witcher 3 world. And yeah, I'm currently playing through The Witcher 2 on Yorvith's path, which is brand new to me. I had previously gone through on Roche's path, and I think I like Yorvith's path a bit more at this point, and it's probably the save that I'm going to import into The Witcher 3 when it releases at the end of May. So thanks guys for watching. I thought it was cool to just go through and share some of my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.